far-right racism is out of control in Ireland. Well, at least that's what YouTube wants me to say. And in this case, it's actually half true. Folks, Fernando, welcome to another video for the Modern Survivalist. And as always, especially now, your support is appreciated more than ever. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It does help out a lot, especially with all the censorship, all of the shadow banning going on. And my Spanish channel recently got banned for a week as well with another strike. So subscribe, share the videos, comment, leave a thumbs up. All of that interaction really does help for YouTube, the algorithm, and the way in which they try to hide anything that's not aligned with their ideology. You also have my books below in the descriptions available in Amazon: Street Survival Skills, Surviving the Economic Collapse, and Bugging Out and Relocating. If you don't have my books, you can get them through those links. If you have them already and want to give them away as presents and gifts for Christmas or whatever it is, also much appreciated. So, what is happening in Ireland? Well, there's a lot of racism going on. There's a lot of bigotry. There's a lot of hate. But it's not the way in which the media wants to present it. It's coming from one very clear side of the political and social spectrum. I mean, just see this for yourselves.
While it's true that the Irish have known a fair share of oppression, the reality is during that oppression we still maintained our invisibility cloak of white privilege. And we often...
How the fuck did you maintain? Lady, you're old. You have lived through this. You should know better. This is the brain damage that comes along with social Marxism, the denial of reality, the twisting of history and facts and things that someone like this old hag, she had to see this for herself. She saw Irish people being thrown in concentration camps. She saw the oppression that Irish people suffered under British rule. She saw what happened until very recently and still happens right now in Northern Ireland. And she still says you have white privilege. Would you say that to a Jew that was in a concentration camp? Yep. Yeah, your white privilege, man. Yep. That white privilege of yours. Yep. Those blue eyes, that's keeping you safe, right? No, it doesn't, you old lunatic. You're still in a concentration camp. There's no white privilege in concentration camps. And the last people in Europe to be in concentration camps happen to be Irish. Catholic Irish were the last human beings to be in concentration camps in Western Europe. Okay? This is something that she should know. She does know, but she chooses to ignore reality, facts, things that have been seen and perceived and experienced by herself. But no, the ideology of cultural Marxism is above all logic and reason.
Still maintained our invisibility cloak of white privilege.
And we often hear about white privilege, and it hadn't really occurred to me that I had white privilege as well, but now, listening to you, I understand that I do have a privilege.
I think we shouldn't forget that our Parliament still looks very male, very stale and pale.
Of course you can say that. You're a middle-class white man. So you view the law completely different to somebody who is a traveller, to somebody who is uneducated, to somebody who's maybe a member of the Roma community. So
traveller, Roma, all uneducated. How racist of our Sinn Féin lady. And the idea that Sinn Féin, of all possible political parties, is now, what, rooting against Irish? Really? That's what you're doing right now? The IRA is going against Irish people? This is fucking insane. This is what the left does to people. They turn them into brain-dead zombies, incapable of any kind of critical, not even critical, just basic logical thinking.
Very, very different. You know that the law doesn't treat you the same. It doesn't treat you the same.
You as a white...
Typical from the left. Repeat something, wanting it to be true. The law doesn't treat you the same. Yes, it does. Lady, it does treat you the... In fact, it's the opposite. It treats you better if you're brown, black, and undocumented. If you are a 30-year-old African that hasn't got a damn paper on you, you can say you're a 15-year-old and end up going to a school with 15-year-old children and get paid for doing that because you're not treated the same. You're actually treated above the law. You're treated a lot better if you're not white. So just repeating something and wanting it to be true does not make it so.
Privileged man, how does my debt impact your life?
I think it's worth putting on the record of this House that concept of white privilege and how that can be
anger towards
normatised
white
in our
people,
own lives.
anger
And,
towards male,
we as we develop as a
towards men.
society and a more racially integrated society, I think need to become more and more conscious of that within our own politics and the advantage that has brought, but the corollary being that your whiteness is itself an advantage, and to really understand that.
I often observe young people as they walk together. One of their party or two of their party will be from, their background maybe from a different country, and they are, celebrating that, and they are engaged in that much more so than the very dull, white, pasty Ireland that I grew up in.
Not celebrating anything. They're children. They make shit up like this man. You think children say, let's celebrate that you're different from me. Actually, usually it's the opposite. There's a good chance that the kid will be bullied at some point, and there's a good chance that kids just want to play along and just get along. But they're not celebrating a goddamn thing. It's actually not usually the case with any kind of living being. Someone that's different, someone that's an outsider, will usually have a harder time fitting in with the group. It's not true what these people say.
I think what we need to do in our own political system is to call out the hypocrisy of standing in a parliament like this, full of white people, and saying as racism is something that other people do.
What's wrong with being white? Is it being a white person now a crime? You're a criminal because you're white or you're a man?
Because it's what politicians here in Ireland do. Because the Ireland that I grew up in was made for people just like me. It was made for white, middle-class, able-bodied, heterosexual men.
So the guy wants an Ireland that is not for white people, that's not for middle-class people, and that is not for heterosexual men. So it has to be what? It has to be an Ireland for non-white people that are poor. I only assume he's not meaning for the ultra-wealthy, which, kind of a bit of that going on. So you have to be non-white, poor, gay. That's the kind of society Ireland should have built for. What on earth are they even talking about? And white guilting. Would you go to Africa and start telling people over there in any African country, you have too many black people. You need to bring on more Chinese or more South Americans or more Asians. What kind of lunacy is this approach of, your society is all wrong because the people that constitute it are of a certain color that we don't like. This is the most horrible expression of racism. This is worst kind of racism. So yes, that is very much true, but it's not coming from the right. It's coming from the far left, as it always does.
It's made for us. We've always run this place. We see ourselves everywhere.
Who the fuck is supposed then to run things, make things? Who is the population supposed to be other than Irish people? You're in fucking Ireland. Are you going to go to Russia and say, yes, we Russians always build this for us and run things here in Russia? Or guys in China, yes, us Chinese people always run things here in China. That has to change. This is not good. What kind of crazy talk is this?
And if you walk around the walls of, or the halls of this esteemed building, you generally see people who just look just like me.
There is obviously a fairly obvious deficiency in what we're doing. We're basically a room full of white men talking about racism. So just to name that.
One thing I strongly agree with the Deputy on is the need to set a target to have a number of people from ethnic minorities in areas of the public service. We have a health service that's very diverse, although less so as you go up towards the senior positions, not so much in the Gardaí, not so much in the Defence Forces, not so much in the education sector, as the Deputy mentioned, not at all in the civil service, which is very white, including the Department of Equality, for example, and that actually needs to change.
Why does it need to change? Leo Varadkar, why does it need to change? A man that is Prime Minister of Ireland himself, a descendant of Indian immigrants, now telling you that no, you cannot have white people here. The courage, the lack of self-awareness that this man has, being himself the children of an immigrant now telling you that there's no place for white people in Ireland, right? Because what? They allowed you into their society, they welcomed you, they voted for you, so now you're going to be imposing your own racial stereotypes, your own racism, you're going to be imposing your LGBT preferences, you're going to force all of that on people. But you know what? It's not the fault of this person, no. It's the people that voted for him. It's the people that still support him. Those are the ones to blame. You voted and support a radical leftist nutcase like this person, and now you don't like the results. Well, that is too damn bad. You should have thought before you voted and you supported people like this man. Now you will have to find ways of getting rid of them.
To change.
There's serious work that needs to be done in the context of Irish politics, because even when you look at a male-dominated, politics, who are the males dominating that? And the majority are more privileged, are predominantly white. There is...
You're a fucking old white lady, and you're there talking, expressing your opinion. What kind of lack of participation are you even referring to? I mean, most of the ones we saw, they're all white women. White women bitching about white women and white people, and white men. Middle class white people complaining about middle class white people, or even worse, rich politicians from the left complaining about hardworking white people. That's really what this is about.
Very little ethnic visibility across any of that. So measures need to be put in place to start...
What measures? Are you going to be bringing, slaves? Are you going to enslave people in Africa, bring them in a boat and force them? Oh no, right, you're already doing that by having no kind of control of any border of any kind and just encouraging people to come illegally into your country. Invade, do whatever they want. There's no consequence for that. It's actually the opposite. The law will throw your ass in jail if you're white and you're not liking what you're seeing, and you will be celebrated like a hero if you come and violently impose your own culture. That's what this is really about. It is sick, it is disgusting, and people need to wake up.
Looking at that.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is replace a bunch of straight white middle class able-bodied men with a bunch of straight white middle class able-bodied women.
Like yourself. Well, lady, resign, move to Africa, start breeding with African men so as to have a bunch of African children in Africa. That's obviously what you're talking about. So if you're disgusted by your own color of skin and your own country and your own culture, get your sorry white ass in a plane, move to Africa and breed over there with a bunch of African men. You will have lots of little African children and you will be furthering the cause of your agenda. But you're not about to do that, are you? Of course not.
I think we need kind of intersectional approaches, but I know that's not what you were...
Yeah, no, I take that point. I was just trying to hone in on that one. I mean, it's vast, but it's made up of a number of elements. Gender is one, yeah.
Well, it's true.
Move to Africa, have a bunch of babies with African men, as many of them as you can, and you will have the right to do that. Go do that. That's obviously what you want to do. Or not, or you just enjoy the the social justice points that you get for repeating this bullshit. Is that what you're really about? If you believed anything of what you just said, or what this woman just said, she would do that. Move to Africa, live over there, make that place better, and stop trying to destroy your own home. Anyway, it's insane, but this is what we're dealing with, and it has to be called out. See you on our next video. Take care.